Hey there, Vinny from Project Frugal. Today I'm going to show you how we make $170.11 every day from passive income without lifting a finger. Let's check it out. Well, $170.11 a day. That's pretty good for doing nothing, but how do we achieve that? Well, let's get straight into the spreadsheets and let's find out what we've done over the last 6.5 years of our investing journey in order to make this money. Definitely 6.5 years since we've been actively investing. Had $18,000 in it. It was my retirement account from working in various government departments, shall we say. So that's what we had at the time, and we'd just barely scratched the surface of investing. The mortgage was getting paid off at the time. We'd started up a Sharesies account. I had $1,628.12. We started investing in the middle of 2018. Well, I think it was the 30th of April 2018, but I haven't included these numbers here because they're so minimal anyway, it doesn't really matter. But that's when we started on Sharesies, started putting $25 a week in because that's all we could afford at the time. And we also started up a Sharesies account for Denise here, so that's her one there, $1,700. In fact, that's not actually true because this column here I've actually used for a thing called Harmony, which is no longer available in New Zealand. It was a peer-to-peer lending thing. I originally used that column to track that. We didn't actually start investing for Denise into Sharesies until May 2021. And if you've seen the Road to 100K series, that pretty much follows the whole thing there. So we've got my retirement account, we've got a KiwiSaver each, which we only started up once we could see the light at the end of the tunnel, i.e. once the mortgage was just about paid off, and it got paid off on this little orange thing here, pretty much the 1st of the 1st, 2020, or thereabouts in that month, definitely. No mortgage, yippee, now we can start on investing, carry on with investing, and keep it going. We had an emergency fund, which was essentially a direct call account with the Heartland Bank. Doesn't pay a huge amount of interest. Originally it was paying 2.75%. We have built it up over time. We did have to use some of that money early on in the piece. And we had a couple of Invest Now accounts. That's purely for ETFs. We started building that up as well. When we started tracking this, we had $24,196.27 back on the 1st of the 1st, 2019 in terms of investments. If we look at the 4% rule, you've probably seen the video, go and check it out. 4% rule based on 24,000 would equal $18.61 a week in passive income, if you like. But obviously some of these income amounts here, some of them are fixed, some of them are stuck in KiwiSaver, that sort of thing, so you can't actually access that money. Basically that 24,000 represents 3.72% of our expenses, or our annual expenses. So over time, things changed. Once if we go down to here, this is when the Harmony account got closed. Yeah, you can see that there. Obviously the balance is going up all the time. This column here represents the amount of deposits that we put in terms of investing. And obviously we can see the gains for the month. So this is the overall picture of all the accounts: emergency fund, shares accounts, ETFs, retirement account, KiwiSaver, all that sort of thing. The annual gains. We put in X amount. How much does it go up by? Well, in this particular scenario, by February 2019, it had gone up $1,917. But obviously, we've got some pink here. So the pink is pretty bad. Basically, the pink means market volatility. The market has gone down. And if we scroll down a bit here, we can see a lot of pink here. This is post-COVID, 2021, 2022. Yep, it certainly shows there. But obviously you can see on the total balance here, everything is slowly going up over time. And back in May 2021, we'd actually made $100 on passive income per week. Is that per week? I think it's per week. Or is it per month? I don't know. I'm losing track now. Anyway, $100. Yeah, no, it's per week. $102 we'd made. We need $500 a week. So we were pretty much 20% of the way through at that point. Now, there is some conflicting information here because we've got dividends, which are technically income, and then we've got capital gains, which is kind of income, but it's not really income because we don't want to be selling any assets We just want to be making dividends because they will pretty much encompass our actual income moving forward over the years. Let's scroll down a bit and see what else we've got here. If we move over to the present day, we are looking at the 1st of the 7th, 2025. Always do this budget on the 1st of the month. It just makes it so much easier. I recommend that you do the same. That way you can just track month to month to month. It doesn't matter if the month's got 28 days, 30 days, 31 days, doesn't really matter. So we're down to $405,240. That's our total investments at the moment. If we break that down, well, the last couple of months have been fantastic, no doubt about it. We're up to $311.72. If we need $500 a week just for our lean fire core expenses, then we are 62% of the way there. So almost 2/3 of the way there. We've still got a long way to go. Now, because I like numbers so much, I have made various graphs and all sorts of other bits and pieces. We got our monthly income gains, investment gains here. As you can see, early on when you don't have much money in, nothing much is happening. And the highs and the lows are pretty minimal, as you can see here. This is going up to plus 20,000 or negative 15,000. But over time, this is definitely the bad COVID period here. But over time, you can see definitely things are picking up. The skyscrapers are getting bigger, whether they go up or down, that's kind of irrelevant. Looking at this particular chart here, we can see this is our overall investment balance over time. So we're under 50,000 back on the 1st of the 1st, 2019, and we've just eclipsed 400,000 as of July 2025. And moving over to this one here, this is our shares. We've got Denise and Vinny here. At the start, it was all going into my account and Vinny's account, and I guess what we did, we sussed out that Denise is paying a lot less tax than I am, so it makes sense to boost her money up, so we're not paying as much tax. So that's what we did here. This is the road to 100k series, as you can see here. Now that we've actually put in 100,000 worth of capital into her shares portfolio, we're actually doing the same with mine. We're putting $100,000 capital into that as well. Even though technically I pay more tax than she does, doesn't really matter. I just want those round numbers, $100,000 each, and that way we can kind of track it a bit easier. And then we'll make a decision from there in terms of what we're going to invest in. Let's move over to the right-hand side. So this is now tracking year to year. So in the year 2019, i.e. the 1st of January to the 31st of December of 2019, we made total yearly profit loss of almost $8,000, and that equates to $153.68 a week based on that. The dividends we made for the entire year are $73.46, which is not a huge amount at all, is it? No, it certainly isn't. So in terms of dividends versus expenses, 0.28% of our income to cover our core expenses of $500 a week would come from dividends. Obviously, we had to build that up. So our daily income, 20 cents. Based on dividends alone, we want to get to $71.26. We can see here our end of year balance at the end of 2019 was 48,000. That's our total investments. And we'd increased our total investments by 24,000 for that particular year. And the reason why that number might appear to be a bit low is because we were still paying off the mortgage at that time. In the year 2020, we'd paid off the mortgage, and a massive increase there, $70,000. We were able to improve our total investments by going from 48,000 to 118,000. Dividends, $943 for that particular year. As you can see, if you have a look down the chart, the last financial year, or the last calendar year, 2024, we made $7,500 worth of dividends. All of that gets reinvested back into the portfolio. Our end of year balance at the end of 2024 was $363,000 worth of investments. We're carrying on. We're halfway through 2025. We've made $20,000 worth of gains so far this year. Most of that obviously is in capital gains. So it's not quite what we want with the dividends. We have made $4,268 worth of dividends so far. Hopefully by the end of the year, we should be up maybe around $9,000 to $9,500 worth of dividends. And that essentially is our income. So if we need $25,000 and we've got, let's say, $9,000, we're just over a third of the way there with financing our lifestyle just based on dividends alone, forgetting about capital gains. because at the end of the day, we don't want to sell anything. We just want to live off the dividends if we can. And eventually we will get there. Another thing to note on this, I've made some projections of where our investments should be. Now, I did this quite a while ago, so at the time, by the end of 2025, I was predicting we'd have 409,000 worth of investments. Currently, halfway into the year, we're actually up to, what have we got there, $405,000. So we're way ahead of target here. We need approximately $650,000 worth of investments, let's say at the 4% rate, so we can generate $25,000. Yep, long way to go. If we have a look at the last 12 months, we have made $62,000 worth of gains and dividends all up. So that equates to $5,174 a month of income, passive income, $1,194 a week. We need $500 a week. Wow, it's been amazing in the last 12 months, I've got to say. So we've covered 238.72% of our expenses. We require 2,167. Like I said, we've made over $5,000 a month. And yeah, based on our liquid assets, we can survive with no job, of course, for 553 weeks, which is amazing, which essentially, because I'm less than 10 years away from hitting 65 and reaching retirement, if I quit my job and we just lived on our bare bones budget, I can survive for 10 and a half years. And that doesn't include any capital gains. It also doesn't include any dividends. So essentially what I'm saying is, if I want to live cheaply and frugally, I could retire today. And if we have a look over here, the last 12 months, income per day, $170.11. Now, it's not always going to be like that. The first 6 years, our average income per day was only $34. Our total gains in the last 6.5 years, $94,771. So we haven't even made $100,000 worth of profits yet. We will get there, however. You can also see here we've had some good months and we've had some bad months. So we got the best months. In fact, all of these 4 top best months have come in the last 12 months. Almost $16,000 we made in one particular month. A couple of 15 grand months. Excellent. But we've also had some bad months. So during the COVID period, we lost almost $11,000 in a single month. So even though it's putting money in, so let's say we put in $4,000, overall we went down hypothetically another $11,000 on top of that. So yeah, not ideal, but that's the way it goes with market volatility. Looking at how our investments have increased over time, the first 100,000, definitely the hardest to invest and save and all the rest of it. That took us 2.5 years once we got serious about getting out of debt, making money and saving money and investing for the future, all that sort of stuff. 2.5 years, quite a long time. The second $100,000 took us 25 months, so 2 years and 1 month. The third 100,000, only 15 months. That is amazing. The last 100,000, that took us 16 months, so slightly longer than the previous year, but there's an asterisk by that. Why is there an asterisk? Well, we spent up large. We had to get a replacement gas fireplace. That was $7,000 or $8,000. I can't quite remember. We got some replacement double glazed windows. That was $12,000. We had to get the roof repaired. We had to pull money out of our emergency fund, which is part of our investment portfolio. That was $23,500. And we also bought a second car. That was $9,000. So we spent a lot of money, and yet it only took us 16 months to get the extra 100,000. So that is pretty fantastic. How long will it take to get us to 500,000? Well, I don't know. It really depends on what the market does. The market could go up, the market could go down. It could be 16 months, it could be hypothetically 12 months. If we can put some more capital in and the market goes well, it might be 12 months, who knows. Then again, the market could completely collapse, it could go down 20 or 30%, and we might be drifting in the sand, so to speak, for the next 2 or 3 years. I don't know. Looking at the total amount of months that go up, we've calculated 78 months here. You can see over here, these are the gains for the month. So obviously the green is good and the pink is bad. 78 of those months, 49 of them have been up months, 29 of them have been down months. So that means 63% of them generally are going up. 37% generally are going down. Now, if you were to bet on the odds of a roulette table, for example, black or red, red being good, or has red been bad? I don't know. Black has been good or bad? I don't know. If we looked at a roulette table and we said 63% of the time you put $1 in, your money will go up, and 37% of the time you put $1 in and your money will go down, well, those are pretty good odds. Much better than Lotto, where you only get 40% of your money back of what you put in. You put in $1, you get 40 cents on average. Well, technically, a lot of people get nothing out of it. A couple of lucky people might make a few $1,000,000, but yeah, it's not a sure thing. Whereas this is not necessarily a sure thing, but as you can see, the numbers point that most of the time you will be making money. Some of the time you'll be losing money. It's almost 2/3 of the time you'll be making money and 1/3 of the time you'll be losing money. That is market volatility. That is what happens, and that's what you have to live with being an investor. At the end of the day, as you can see, these numbers, $170.11 that we're making per day, we don't spend it. It just gets reinvested, whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is. This $170, maybe it's going to go up over time, maybe it's going to shrink rapidly, down to the $34.07 like it was on average over the last 6 years. Who knows? But whatever happens, we'll just keep it reinvesting it, building up for the future and trying to reach our financial goals. And that about wraps it up for this video. So as you can see, it is definitely possible to do this. We've proved it. Yeah, obviously it's going to go up and down over time, but if you stick the course, you grind it out, you'll get there eventually. Thanks for sticking around. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think, and we'll catch you later. Bye-bye.